Hey YouTube folks again, this is Perry. This is part 3 of this trailer axle repair project. What I have today is these spring perch saddles that go on the axle. Now, trailer axles, well, at least this style trailer axle, this is a bit of a standard from what I understand. There's a 5-bolt pattern here for the brake backing plate. Now, the brake backing plate okay, this is one of the backing plates. So, the way that these work is the backing plate goes on the axle like this. When the magnet turns on from the brake controller, it attaches or sticks to the side of the drum and it pushes this forward. So this would be a wheel that rotates this way for the purposes of the direction, and then this drags backwards and that causes these brake shoes to open up. And since these are self-actuating, when one of these drags, it transfers force to the other one, and they act on one another, so they sort of, they're self-energizing, I believe is the term. Anyway, so this is the way it's supposed to be installed, with the 5th hole pointing up. Unfortunately, one of the previous owners, for whatever reason, decided to cut the perches off the axle, and normally, well, the way that these are supposed to be installed is the perch would be installed like this, and it would be level to the flat on the bottom of the spindle like this. Well, they rotated this axle 90 degrees and installed a perch right here. This one looks like a factory style perch, although it's been beat to hell, and then the other side is fabricated out of pieces of angle iron and strap steel. The problem arises twofold. One of them is, when you do that, your brake goes on like this. So your shoe's on the bottom and your shoe's on the top. And that's not how it's supposed to be. The adjuster is supposed to be on the bottom like this. Now, functionally, it works because it worked. But the reality is that we have a problem. And the problem becomes much more obvious when I rotate this axle, and you watch this. You can see it's kind of running through an orbit. Well, the reason it's running through an orbit is because the axle has a crown to it. And you can kind of see that right here. The axle has a crown that faces up. And these perches are in the wrong part. And so what we have is that when you install this axle on the trailer and you've got everything set up, this axle actually gets installed like, let's see, which way was it? Well, that's down. I'm trying to visualize which way was forward. I believe, so this is the spindle I had to repair. This was on the right side of the trailer. So this is your going forward. Well, anyway, the toe on the tires ends up being all cattywampus, and the brakes are off, and the rear axle is right. This axle isn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these perches off, and I'm going to weld the ones that I made on correctly. And these are 78-inch centerline perches. These perches are pretty close to 78-inch centerline, but they're ½ inch off to one side. So I'm going to fix that problem and make it right. Okay, the plan of attack for removing these perches off of here is to hit them with the portaband, and this might be a little tricky because this plate, I think I'm going to have to go this direction. So I'm just going to bulk cut them off at the portaband, and then I'll grind them the rest of the way off. There's one piece. Let's see. Okay, so at this point what I've done is I've cut the perches off the axle. I ground the welds that held the old perches on, and what I've done is I've just dressed the axle where I'm going to weld the new perches on. I still have a little bit of work to do with these little dimples right here. Those will end up getting filled in, and I'll try to bridge. I'll try to do the best I can. So to fixture this thing, what I'm going to do is I just kind of filed this a little bit flat right here so I could put a level on it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to level out this bottom flange on the axle, because that's going to be my reference point. Okay, we're darn close there. So the next step is I've already measured the center to center distance between these flanges. It's 83 3/4 inches. My axle center line, or my spring center line, is 78 inches to the center of these holes. So doing a little bit of math, I came up with 1 7/8 from the inside of the flange. Now I already mocked these up and then measured and confirmed that 1 7/8 is the appropriate dimension to get what I want. So in order to clock these properly, what I need to do is just get the bubble right there, and I'm going to have to tack these in place because this tube isn't in super great shape. I've got some fill to do there. I don't know how those dimples got there, but we're going to work with them. So, but you get the gist of what it takes to line this up. I'm going to get the TIG welder set up and start doing some tacks. Some 7/8. Tack over here. These are just fusion weld tacks. Okay, that's one hell of an ugly gap. Might have to get a little creative with that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to tack in here. This is 150 amps. And I was having to wood it to get the puddle to flow on that. So let's loosen this up. Rotate that. Oh, there goes the other perch. Good. Probably lay another bead over the top of that. Scrub this a little bit. Okay, let's get this going. Okay, we're going to jam through this side because I have got to go. I've got to go put this on that trailer. And I don't have a whole lot of time to fiddle for it around here. So I'm just going to jam through this. My rod's ready. I'm going to use 16th rod on this one because it melts in quicker and we'll see how it goes.